Neetshala, Trust of Thousand NEET Aspirants, on the hands of Neetshala, welcomes you all to the session of Digestive System. Here we will cover NCERT, each line of NCERT, and some extra points definitely. For quiz, you can join Neetshala on the Telegram app. And now Neetshala is also available on Play Store as Neetshala app. This is the logo. And you can connect to us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Now, moving on to the digestive system. Digestion. The process of conversion of complex food substances into simple absorbable forms is called digestion. This definition very common, we have been learning since childhood, so I'll not take much time on this definition. Now the next important point, the human digestive system consists of alimentary canal and the associated gland. Alimentary canal, and not, you will not say stomach, intestine, you will not add that, because alimentary canal itself includes the stomach, intestines, all those things. Okay, so human digestive system consists of alimentary canal and the associated glands. Alimentary canal begins with an anterior opening in the mouth, and it opens out posteriorly through the anus. Now, the human dentition. Three types of dentition we are familiar with: thecodont, diphyodont, and heterodont type of dentition. And this diagram I have taken out from NCERT. There was a previous year question from this diagram also. It's easy and basic, but you should know the diagram. Now, thecodont dentition means the teeth are present in the bony socket of jaw, isn't it? That is why it is thecodont dentition. It is also present in crocodile. Which dentition? Thecodont dentition is also present in man and crocodile both. Now, the diphyodont type of dentition, the teeth which appears two times in life, twice. What do we have? We have milk teeth, which is replaced by permanent teeth. That is why we show diphyodont type of dentition. And heterodont dentition, because we have different types of teeth: incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. 4 different types of teeth we have, so it is heterodont type of dentition. So these 3 dentition, I hope it is clear to you. Thecodont, because teeth is embedded in the bony socket of jawbone; diphyodont, milk teeth and permanent teeth; and heterodont type of dentition, because we have 4 varieties of teeth, means more than one variety. Now, this is the diagram of teeth given in your NCERT also. Wait. Okay, fine. Let me... Incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. Now look here. Just a second. Incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. If I talk about child, how many incisors are present in a child? 2 in upper jaw, 2 incisors, and 2 incisors. 2 in lower jaw. Canines. If I ask about canine. Okay. Premolars, no premolars. Molars, how many molars? 2 molars. So how many it makes up? See here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here also 5. Now this is half jaw. This is half jaw. There also same diagram if I make it, then there also, from there also you will get 5 and 5, which total adds up to 20. Which total adds up to 20, and this was the case of a child. Now let me clean the board. Okay, now next we'll talk about adult. Adult, I think it is written here 2123 by 2123. In an adult, how many incisors? 2 incisors. This is the upper jaw and this is the lower jaw of an adult. Okay, now how many canines? Canines, how many? 1. Then we have premolars. Premolars 2, right? 2, and then molars. How many molars? 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 molars. This is half part of the jaw. Look here. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 from here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 from here. Now again if I draw a line and make the same diagram that side also, from there also you will get 8 and 8. 8 plus 8, 16. 8 plus 8, 16, and total of 32. So this diagram I hope made clear to you all about the teeth. Next, tongue. What is a tongue? A tongue is a freely movable muscular organ attached to the floor of oral cavity by a frenulum. The upper surface of tongue has small projections called papilla, some of which bear taste buds. Some of which bear taste buds. Should I draw a diagram of tongue? Let me see if I have some space. Yes, I have space in the next slide. I'll draw a diagram of tongue. Look here. This is a tongue. Okay. What is this circle? Okay. Wait. Look here. These circles are circumvallate papilla. Circumvallate papilla. Okay, these circles are circumvallate papilla. Now, let me change the color and show you. Now, some on this side will have these small dots will be filiform papilla. Filiform papilla. Filiform papilla. Filiform papilla. And some large ones will be your fungiform papilla. Fungiform, F-U-N-G-I, fungiform papilla. Fungiform papilla. Okay, and now this part of tongue is known as oral part. Oral part, and this part is known as pharyngeal part. Pharyngeal part of tongue. Here only we will have lingual tonsils will be present here. Okay. So tongue, small projections called papilla, some of which bear taste buds. The oral cavity leads into a short pharynx which serves as a common passage for food and air. The esophagus and the trachea open into pharynx. Where do they open? They open into pharynx, not larynx. A cartilaginous flap called epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the glottis, the opening of windpipe during swallowing. So the epiglottis will prevent the entry of food into the glottis. Glottis is the opening of windpipe. So while you are swallowing food, that time the food should not enter into the windpipe. Okay, that prevention is done by epiglottis. अरे ये डायग्राम तो बना दिए, इसे सफाई भी करना पड़ेगा. Let me clean this. Esophagus. Esophagus is a thin long tube which extends posteriorly, passing through the neck, thorax and the diaphragm, and leads to a J-shaped bag-like structure called the stomach. See, esophagus extends posteriorly from number 1 neck, number 2 thorax, and number 3 diaphragm, and stomach is J-shaped. Stomach is a J-shaped bag-like structure. Remember this, J-shaped, not C-shaped. Stomach. The stomach is located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity and has three major parts: a cardiac portion into which the esophagus opens. Here there is one sphincter also, and a fundus region, and a pyloric portion which opens into the first part of small intestine. From here now, small intestine. So this is the diagram of stomach from NCERT, and the location of stomach, upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. You have to remember all these points. So I think no doubt still here. No doubt still here. Okay. You know, this digestive system, we could make a huge video, long videos also could be made, like stomach, we could talk about omentum, isn't it? All those things, but I'm not including it here because, as I told you, we are doing the revision of NCERT. Intestine. Small intestine is distinguishable into three regions: C-shaped duodenum, a long coiled middle portion called duodenum, and a highly coiled ileum. The opening of stomach into the duodenum is guided by the pyloric sphincter. Ileum opens into the large intestine. Stomach opening into small intestine, and there pyloric sphincter is present, and then the part of ileum will open into the large intestine. Duodenum is 25 centimeters long. Jejunum is nearly 1 meter long, and ileum is nearly 2 meter long. Just some extra knowledge. Large intestine. It consists of cecum, colon and rectum. Cecum, colon and rectum. Cecum, colon, and third is rectum. Cecum is a small blind sac which hosts some symbiotic microorganisms. Arre bhai. Oh, this is getting erased. I'm thinking when this blue lines will get erased. Cecum is a small blind sac. Cecum is a blind sac. Why? Because it hosts some symbiotic microorganisms. A narrow finger-like tubular projection, the vermiform appendix, which is a vestigial organ, arises from the cecum. The cecum opens into colon. The colon is divided into three parts: an ascending, a transverse, and a descending colon. The descending part opens into the rectum, which opens out through the anus. We had sigmoid colon also in the last publication of NCERT. Now they are showing these three, so we will talk about these three only. And appendix. Okay, look here, this small structure, finger-like projection. This is the vermiform appendix. Now, the beautiful topic, the walls of the GIT. Serosa, it is the outermost layer of the gut. The outermost layer of the gut is serosa. Then we have muscularis, then submucosa, then mucosa, and this is your lumen. Serosa is made up of mesothelium, muscular layer, will be inner circular and outer longitudinal, and oblique layer will be present. Oblique. Oblique layer is present in stomach. Then we have submucosa and mucosa. Serosa is the outermost layer of gut, and it is made up of thin mesothelium. Mesothelium means the epithelium of visceral organs, and it also has some connective tissue. Now look here, muscularis will have two layers, inner circular, outer longitudinal, An oblique layer may be present in some regions like stomach. The submucosal layer is formed of loose connective tissue containing nerves, bloods and limbs. In duodenum, glands are also present in submucosa. Which gland? Brunner's gland. And that's why we sometimes call it submucosal or duodenal gland. Do you know this layer mucosa? Mucosa is in next slide. The innermost layer lining the alimentary canal is the mucosa. This layer forms irregular folds called rugae in the stomach and small finger-like projections called villi in the small intestine. This mucosa layer, it is also differentiated into three layers. Outermost layer. Now mucosa is differentiated into three more layers. The outermost layer is mucosa muscularis. The middle layer is lamina propria. Remember MALT, mucosa associated lymphoid tissues. And the innermost layer is epithelial mucosa. So mucosa is differentiated into three layers. Outermost layer is called mucosa muscularis. Middle layer is lamina propria, and innermost layer is the epithelial mucosa. And this mucosa layer, it is single layer thick in the entire alimentary canal except for your esophagus. In esophagus, this is multi-layered, but in rest of the alimentary canal, it is present in single layer, and it is made up of columnar mucous epithelium in rest of the alimentary canal, whereas it is made up of keratinized squamous epithelium in esophagus. Non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium in esophagus, and rest of the part, the mucosa's innermost layer is made up of columnar mucous epithelium. Villi are supplied with a network of capillaries and large limb vessels called lacteals. Always they ask what is a lacteal, and you all do wrong. So lacteals are large limb vessels, and you know these questions we have already done on Telegram in the NEET Shala app, in the NEET Shala group. Mucosal epithelium has goblet cells which secrete mucus that help in lubrication. Mucosa also forms glands in the stomach, gastric glands, and crypts between the bases of villi in the intestine. Crypts of Lieberkühn is present in intestine. Look here, the diagram. Look here, these green ones, they represent your villi, and the yellow ones represent your lacteals. And now look here, these are your capillaries, and this red one is your artery, and this is the crypt, and these are the veins. Okay, so this diagram is important. Now, moving to digestive glands. The digestive glands associated with alimentary canal include salivary gland, liver, and the pancreas. Here I want to say one thing. You know, in some of the packages I have noticed, they will tell what they will say accessory glands, but liver, accessory glands to liver and pancreas. But you have to include all the three glands as the digestive glands. All the three glands are of equal weightage according to NCERT. Now the salivary gland. Saliva is mainly produced by three pairs of salivary glands, the parotids, the submaxillary, and the sublinguals. These glands situated just outside the buccal cavity secretes salivary juice into the buccal cavity. You know, these three pairs of salivary glands which are present in human, the parotid gland is located in front of ears. Parotid gland, where is it? Parotid gland, this cheek side in front of the ears, and the submaxillary or the submandibular gland is located at the junction of upper and lower jaw, whereas the sublingual gland is located in lower jaw below the mucosa. Parotid glands are largest and sublingual glands are smallest. Parotid glands are largest, sublingual glands are smallest. The ducts. Parotid glands will have Stenson's duct. The duct of parotid gland is Stenson, Stenson. This is the duct of parotid gland. Then the duct of submandibular or submaxillary gland is Wharton's duct. Wharton's duct. Warton. Wharton's duct. Whereas the sublingual gland will have the duct of Rivinus. Rivinus. In the ordered way I have written Stenson's duct, Wharton's duct, and ducts of Rivinus. These are the ducts of salivary gland. Liver and pancreas. Liver, the largest gland of the body, weighs about 1.2 to 1.5 kg in an adult human. It is situated in the abdominal cavity just below the diaphragm and has two lobes. Out of the two lobes, the left lobe and the right lobe. The right lobe is the left lobe is smaller and the right lobe is larger. Okay, two lobes, left lobe and right lobe. Left lobe is smaller, right lobe is larger. The hepatic lobules are the structural and functional units of liver containing hepatic cells arranged in the form of cords. Each lobule is covered by a thin connective tissue sheath called Glissen's capsule. What is Glissen's capsule? It is the connective tissue sheath. The bile secreted by hepatic cells passes through the hepatic ducts and is stored and concentrated in a thin muscular sac called gallbladder. The hepatic cells will secrete bile, it will pass through the hepatic ducts and it will be stored into the gallbladder. The duct of gallbladder along with the hepatic duct from the liver forms the common bile duct. Look here. Liver and gallbladder, they will form here common bile duct. Pancreas, and this is the pancreatic duct. And this structure was your duodenum. And here it will be hepatopancreatic duct. The common duct, the pancreatic duct will meet, and here it will be hepatopancreatic duct. This is the diagram from your NCERT, because we are doing a one-shot revision of NCERT for quiz. You can join us at the rate of Neetshala on the Telegram app. Neetshala is also available on Play Store as Neetshala app. This is the logo of Neetshala. You can download the app for free. And we have already done a lot of questions on the digestive system. The bile duct and the pancreatic duct opens together into the duodenum as the common hepatopancreatic duct, which is guarded by a sphincter called sphincter of Oddi. The pancreas is a compound pancreas, both exocrine and endocrine, elongated organ situated between limbs of the U-shaped duodenum. The exocrine portion secretes an alkaline pancreatic juice containing enzymes, and endocrine portion secretes hormones, insulin and glucagon. Exocrine portion will secrete pancreatic juice. Endocrine portion will secrete hormones, insulin and glucagon. Digestion of food. The process of digestion is accomplished by mechanical and chemical process. By mechanical and chemical process. The buccal cavity performs two major functions. Mastication of food and felicitation of swallowing. The teeth and tongue, with the help of saliva, masticate and mix up the food thoroughly. Mucus in the saliva helps in lubricating and adhering the masticated food particles into a bolus. The mucus will add up, and the entire that will be formed after the lubrication, that will be called as bolus. The bolus is then conveyed into the pharynx and then into the esophagus. Pharynx, then into the esophagus by swallowing. Swallowing is also called deglutition. It is nothing new. The bolus further passes through the esophagus by a successive waves of muscular contraction called peristalsis, which happens in the digestive system. The gastroesophageal sphincter controls the passage of food into the stomach. Food in gastroesophageal sphincter. Wait. Where is my stomach? Yes, it's here. Gastroesophageal sphincter will be here, and about this only we were discussing now. Look, this one, gastroesophageal sphincter. Now, the saliva secreted into the oral cavity contains electrolytes and enzymes, salivary amylase and lysozymes. Salivary contains electrolytes and enzymes, salivary amylase and lysozymes. The chemical process of digestion is initiated in the oral cavity. Chemical process of digestion is initiated where? In the oral cavity by the hydrolytic action of carbohydrate splitting enzymes, the salivary amylase. See, the chemical process will start in the oral cavity by the action of carbohydrate splitting the enzyme, the salivary amylase, hydrolytic action. About 30% of starch is hydrolyzed here by this enzyme. pH 6.8 into a disaccharide, maltose. Lysozyme present in saliva acts as antibacterial agent that prevent infections, and this question we had asked on Telegram. We did the MCQ and quiz at 9 p.m. We take the quiz at 9 p.m. on Telegram. You can join there at the Neetshala. The mucosa of stomach has gastric glands. As I told you, it is confusing also sometimes. Gastric glands have three major types of cells, namely mucous neck cell. Mucous neck cell excuse me, will secrete mucus, which is very clear to you all. Now, peptic, chief, parietal, 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 oxyntic. See now, peptic का spelling छोटा है, small spelling, so it will be chief cell. Parietal spelling is long, so it will be oxyntic. Okay, because students confuse. I have given this question twice on the Telegram. 2 days we conducted the quiz and I gave this question, and every time peptic they said oxyntic, and to parietal they said chief. Small spellings एक जैसे, बड़े spellings वाले एक जैसे. Okay, so peptic cells are also known as chief cells, are also known as zymogen cells, which secrete proenzyme pepsinogen, and parietal cell or oxyntic cell which secrete HCl and the intrinsic factor essential for absorption of vitamin B12. Vitamins also, one day I'll make a video. Now, the stomach stores the food for 4 to 5 hours. How long? For 4 to 5 hours. The food mixes thoroughly with the acidic gastric juice of the stomach by the churning movement of its muscular wall and is called chyme. The proenzyme pepsinogen, on exposure to hydrochloric acid, gets converted into the active enzyme pepsine. Pepsinogen converting into pepsine. This is the proteolytic enzyme of the stomach. Pepsine converts proteins into proteoses and peptones. Now this pepsine, it will convert proteins into peptones and proteases. Okay, the mucus and the bicarbonates present in the gastric juice plays an important role in lubrication and protection of mucosal epithelium from excoriation by highly concentrated hydrochloric acid. Mucus, mucus, and second is bicarbonates present in the gastric juice plays an important role in lubrication and protection of what? Mucosal epithelium. Mucus and bicarbonates will protect mucosal epithelium from excoriation by highly concentrated hydrochloric acid. Acha, tell me, do you like just the explanation of NCERT, what I'm doing now, or you want some extra points, like making this video rather than one short video, making it a large video? What do you want? Comment on the comment section below, and please like the session, everybody. And here we have HCl, which provides acidic pH optimal for pepsine. Renin with double N is a proteolytic enzyme found in gastric juices of infants. Renin, RE with a double N, not a single N. This also I had given MCQ and many students had done wrong. Renin found in the gastric juice of infants, which helps in the digestion of milk proteins. Small amounts of lipases are also secreted by gastric glands. So if this question comes as an MCQ, you have to put that yes, small amount of lipases are also secreted. Various types of movements are generated by the muscularis layer of the small intestine. Which layer? Muscularis layer of small intestine generates various movement, and these movements help in thorough mixing of food with various secretions of the intestine and thereby facilitate digestion. The bile, pancreatic juice and the intestinal juice are the secretions released into the small intestine. Secretions released into small intestine will be bile juice, pancreatic juice and the intestinal juice. Pancreatic juice and bile juice released through the hepatopancreatic duct. The pancreatic juice contains inactive enzymes called trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase, amylase, lipases and nucleases. The pancreatic juice will contain the inactive enzymes called trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase, amylase, lipase and nucleases. Trypsinogen is activated by an enzyme enterokinase secreted by the intestinal mucosa into active pepsine, which will in turn activate other enzymes in the pancreatic juice. And in the pancreatic juice we had inactive enzymes called trypsin, chymotrypsin, procarboxypeptidase, amylase and lipase, which will be later converted into an active enzyme by the action of trypsin. The bile released into the duodenum contains bile pigments. See now, pancreatic juice की बात हो गई. The bile released into the duodenum contains bile pigments, bilirubin and biliverdin, bile salts, cholesterol and phospholipids, but has no enzymes. Bile juice, the bile secretion, the bile pigments will have no enzymes. This is an important point to be noted. I'll ask in the MCQ today, and one question is revealed, and for MCQ you have to join NEET Shala on the Telegram app, and the quiz will be conducted at 9 p.m. today. Bile helps in emulsification of fats, that is breakdown of fats into very small micelles. Bile also activates lipases. Lipases are activated by biles also. Chalo, the intestinal mucosal epithelium has goblet cells which secrete mucus. Mucosal cells will secrete mucus. The secretion of brush border cells of mucosa along with the secretion of goblet cells constitute intestinal juice or the succus entericus. See, mucosal secretion plus the goblet cell secretion, they will constitute succus entericus. This juice contains a variety of enzymes like Succus entericus will have enzymes like disaccharides, dipeptides, lipases, nucleosidases, etc. The mucus along with bicarbonates from pancreas protect the intestinal mucosa from acid as well as provide alkaline medium pH 7.8 for enzymatic activity. This I told you before also. Submucosal glands, the Brunner's gland also help in this action. Now look here. Proteins, proteoses and peptones, partially hydrolyzed proteins in the chyme reaching the intestine are acted upon. Intestine means the small intestine are acted upon by proteolytic enzyme on pancreatic juice as given below. Of pancreatic juice as given below. Proteins, peptones and proteoses will be converted into dipeptides by trypsin or chymotrypsin in the presence of carboxypeptidase. Carbohydrates in the chyme are hydrolyzed by pancreatic enzyme into disaccharide. See, polysaccharide means the starch will be converted into disaccharide in the presence of amylase. See, these reactions, they are easy. You don't need to worry. Just याद कर लो, एक बार याद ही तो करना है. Just memorize the first one. In the presence of pepsin, trypsin, isn't it? Proteins, peptones, proteoses will be converted into dipeptides by trypsin, and the second one is this starch wala polysaccharides will be converted into disaccharides. और यहाँ पे कौन से use होगा? Here we'll have the pancreatic amylase. Third one is this fats broken down by lipases with the help of bile into di and trimonoglycerides. Fats, this is fats, diglyceride, monoglyceride and lipases are used. And fourth, nucleases in the pancreatic juice acts on the nucleic acids. Nucleic acids hai ye, nucleic acids which will form nucleotides and nucleosides. Nucleases hai which are present in the pancreatic juice. See, this is pancreatic juice, this is bile. You have to pay attention to. The enzymes in the succus entericus act on the end products. Succus entericus of small intestine act on the end products of these reactions to form the those reactions to form the respective. These were the final products. To simple absorbable forms, these final steps in digestion occur very close to mucosal epithelial cells of intestine. ये कहाँ होता है? Where does this take place? This takes place very close to the mucosal epithelial cells of the intestine. Dipeptides will be converted into amino acids, maltose into glucose, lactose into glucose plus galactose, sucrose into glucose plus fructose, nucleotides into nucleosides, and finally into sugars plus bases, di and monoglycerides into fatty acids plus glycerol. The breakdown of biomacromolecules mentioned above means mentioned here occur in the duodenum region of small intestine. This breakdown was occurring in duodenum. कहाँ हो रहा है ये? Where is it taking place? In the duodenum region of the small intestine. The simple substances thus formed are absorbed in the jejunum. See, duodenum, those reactions will take place. Jejunum, absorption will be taking place, and in ileum also. And the undigested, unabsorbed reaction will take place in duodenum, and ileum and jejunum. Absorption will take place, and unabsorbed substances will pass on to large intestine, जिसका कि कोई significant digestive activity नहीं है. Large intestine absorbs some water, minerals and certain drugs, and secretion of mucus with the help of adhering which helps in the adhering of waste. Mucus secrete करेगा तभी वो waste निकलेगा, and absorbs water, minerals and certain drugs also. Drugs here also, and drugs in mouth also will get in the diagram. The undigested, unabsorbed substances called feces enter into the cecum of the large intestine through ileocecal valve. Which prevents the backflow of fecal matter. Ileocecal valve will prevent the backflow, won't flow back. It is temporarily stored in rectum till defecation. The activity of GIT are under neural and hormonal control for proper coordination of different parts of body. They are and the sight, the smell and or the presence of food into the oral cavity can stimulate the secretion of saliva. Gastric and intestinal secretions are also similarly stimulated by neural signals. Muscular activity of different parts of the alimentary canal can also be moderated by neural mechanisms, both local and through CNS. Hormonal control of secretions of digestive juices is carried out by local hormones produced by the gastric and intestinal mucosa, as I told you before. Absorption of digested products. Absorption is the process by which the end products of digestion pass through the intestinal mucosa into the blood or lymph. It is carried out by passive, active and facilitated transport mechanisms. Small amount of monosaccharides like glucose, amino acids and some electrolytes like chloride ions are generally absorbed by simple diffusion. The passage of these substances into the blood depends upon the concentration gradient. However, some substances like glucose and amino acids are absorbed with the help of carrier proteins. See, simple diffusion से कौन आएगा? Glucose, amino acids, some electrolytes like chloride ions, and the carrier proteins will carry glucose and some amino acids. This mechanism is called facilitated transport. Transport of water depends upon the osmotic gradient. Active transport occurs against the concentration gradient and hence requires energy. Fatty acids and glycerol, being insoluble, cannot be absorbed into the blood. They are first incorporated into small droplets called micelle, which move into the intestinal mucosa. They are reformed into very small protein-coated fat globules called chylomicrons. We have done MCQ from this. Chylomicrons, which are transported into the lymph vessels, and this was the question, chylomicron, where they are transported, into the blood or into the lymph vessels finally. So answer will be lymph vessels. These lymph vessels ultimately release the absorbed substances into the bloodstream. So first the chylomicrons will enter into lacteals, and finally into the bloodstream. Absorption of substances takes place in different parts of alimentary canal like mouth, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. However, maximum absorption कहाँ होता है? Takes place in small intestine. And this is the diagram. Certain drugs, as I told you here also and in intestine also. And absorption of water, simple sugar and alcohol takes place in stomach. And principal organ for absorption of nutrient is small intestine. This could be a question. And then large intestine, absorption of water, some minerals and drugs takes place. Means drugs here in large intestine also and in certain drugs in stomach. Now, the absorbed substances finally reach into tissue which utilize them for activities. The process is called assimilation. Assimilation means they utilize for various activities when they reach to the particular tissues. The digestive waste solidifies into coherent feces in the rectum, initiate a neural reflex causing an urge or desire for its removal. The ejection of feces to the outside through the anal opening, defecation, is a voluntary process and is carried out by mass peristalsis movement. It is a voluntary process, not involuntary. And now coming to an end of this session. If you like the video, please do like the video. Click on the like button. Do share and subscribe our channel. You can connect to NEET Shala on Telegram. Via the you have to download this app from Play Store, and there if you search you will get NEET Shala, and this is the logo of our NEET Shala app, which is available on Play Store for free. Now NEET Shala is also available on Facebook and Instagram. You can connect to us as per your convenience. Study smart, study hard, and wish you all a very good luck. And do comment in the comment section below what do you need, if you like this kind of short videos or you want extra points, so that in the next upcoming section chapters of physiology I'll consider your comments. Chalo, bye bye, take care.